So we've got another film from Anurag Kashyap. This time it's on Netflix India, and it says in the description, "To what extent are you willing to go for money?" Directed by Anurag Kashyap, Choked is the story of a hapless bank cashier whose life takes an unexpected turn when she finds a source of unlimited money in her own kitchen. What will happen when the world becomes suspicious of her newfounded fortunes? Founded is not the word they typed, it's the typo in my brain. Newfound fortunes. Find out in Choked, streaming on 5th June, only on Netflix. So Choked official trailer with Saiyami, Kher, Roshan, Mathew, Amruta, Subhash, and Raj Shri Deshpande. So, as y'all know, I'm a big Anurag Kashyap fan. If you guys are interested, there are some reviews to his films on this channel that there will be a... Please put a link in the description if you would be so kind.
Okay. Because
ACHARA is probably going to be the one taking care of this. So, yeah, awesome. Let's check this out.
वो अपना ऊपर वाला है ना, अरे लोमड़ी की तरह आता है और खरगोश की तरह भाग के चला जाता है। पता नहीं करता क्या है।
अरे प्लम्बर को फोन लगाओ, पाइप फट गया।
तू अभी क्या अभी वो बेसिंग का तेरा काम करवा दे, लीकेज का भी। एक काम हटो यार।
हफ्ते में तीसरी बार आलू खिला रही है। पनीर वनीर खिलाया करो कभी।
आलू को आलू ही खिलाऊंगी ना, पनीर खाना है तो पनीर बनो।
रोज तो असली है सरिता, लेकिन आपको डाउट क्यों आया? पानी की तरह पैसा बहा रही है सरिता। कहाँ से आ रहे हैं ये पैसे? कौन दे रहा है?
500 का नोट गया, 1000 का नोट गया।
500 rupee and 1000 rupee currency notes will no longer be legal tender.
अब देखना सारा ब्लैक मनी निकल के आएगा बाहर।
देखो उसका मन कहाँ लगा है, ये देख, दिखा क्यों ना? मैं अब तो काम नहीं कर सकती।
मैंने इनको क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछा था, ड्यूटी बताया था।
Wow.
Dang, dang,
so
dang.
this is giving me two different feels, one American, one Indian. One is A Simple Plan with Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. And the other one is Uttar Punjab. You find this thing and it sort of just kind of takes over you. And there's like this initial part where you are happy and then it just goes south.
Yeah.
Every time there's a movie about finding money, it never ends well, ever.
Yeah.
There's always that joyous period in the middle and you're like, haven't you watched this movie? Like, it's gonna go south. You could see the compelling part of like why someone in that position would go and just spend it. It's like you've never had this before.
Exactly. It's such an interesting idea for a thriller as well, because I feel like I went through the whole emotional thing with her where it's like, yay, money, and then, oh my God, money.
Yeah.
And then having it set during the time of
demonetization.
You said, I forgot that it was called demonetization because I keep thinking YouTube demonetization, but it's the same, right? And so having it set during that time is perfect because it brings in another conflict to the story, because now she has a whole bunch of money which is basically worthless or about to become worthless.
It's basically for fire.
Yeah, you may as well use it to wipe your ass at that point.
Yeah.
I was totally into it.
So story time.
Okay.
When ACHARA and I were in India, we had landed back in, was it Delhi or Mumbai? Okay, we landed in Mumbai and we were trying to hail an Uber or a Lyft.
It was impossible.
And so it was one of those things where because the airport's so crowded, it was gonna take forever to get there, right?
Yeah.
And there were these two people in official looking outfits that looked important. And they came up and they're like, do you need a taxi? And we're like, yeah. They're like, okay, come with us. And they immediately grabbed our luggage and started walking. I'm like, hold on a second, bro. Like, I don't know that I want to hire you. We've got an Uber coming. There was this huge back and forth, and they said, we'll let you, we'll give you a discount on the taxi if you exchange money with us. They wanted to like have like $1,000 American, and they would give it back to us in rupees. I'm like, I don't need that much money to get by.
Yeah.
We're only gonna be here for a few days.
Yeah, we're leaving soon.
Yeah, I talked them down. I'm like, do you need money? And I kept turning to Achara. I'm like, I don't think we need any more. But she's like, I guess like $200. The guy's like, fine, $200, and then we'll give you a discount on the taxi. He aggressively takes our luggage and starts walking.
Real fast.
Really fast, and so we're keeping up with him just to, not lose our luggage. And we go up this elevator thing to the second floor of the parking lot, and he's waiting. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? And he goes, the taxi. I'm like, I thought you were the taxi driver. And he goes, no, they're coming with the money. And I looked at Achara and I go, no. And she goes, no. I'm like, no. And I immediately grabbed the bag. I'm like, no thanks, our friend's coming. And I started walking off. I had assumed that he was gonna kidnap us because my brain immediately goes to the worst thing possible. But Achara had assumed more appropriately that it probably had to do with demonetization and they were trying to take our good money to give us bad money.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But my fight or flight instinct kicked in of, you're going to die. So you need to move. And the guy kept going, whoa, what happened? What happened? You changed your mind? What's going on? I'm like, dude, our friend's coming. He's like, but what happened? I go, no matter how many times you ask me, the answer's gonna be no. He's like, okay, fine. And he walked, like,
just like that, super scary.
Yeah, when I get mad, I don't know why, but people like don't want to fuck me as much.
That black belt in Taekwondo comes through and they're like, yeah, probably don't want to mess with that guy.
What you mentioned is appropriate. Like, I can only imagine how frustrating that would be, where you basically have a bunch of Prussian francs. That's a Louis C.K. joke, by the way. Like, you have all this money that is worthless. It had so much value just a moment ago. I know from like hearing stories how everyone rushed to try to get their notes changed out as quickly as possible, and how that like just devastated a lot of people. It was Modi's move in order to try to undo a lot of the corruption that was happening, which in this case was the case. She basically was using money that wasn't hers, that probably was born out of corruption. I mean, it was there for a reason, it was hidden. What makes it even worse is now she's in the pocket of the people who
yeah, like the gangsters.
The gangsters who basically hid all that money. And then somehow they found out that she had it.
Yeah, well...
There's a trail. There's always a trail when you're spending money. So the first rule when you get a lot of money is don't do anything. Don't do anything. Just keep it.
So hard though, because look at her. She's in a situation, she works a job where she probably doesn't really get paid that much. Her husband doesn't work. She's the sole provider for her family. And suddenly she gets all this money and it's like, well, why shouldn't I treat myself? What's interesting about it as well is she is a very relatable character.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's easy to put ourselves in her shoes and be like, well, if I suddenly fell into $1 million, it just suddenly appeared in my lap for like no good reason, what would I do?
Yeah, I think that, before I forget, I want to just comment on the artistic filmmaking stuff. I like all the angles that Anurag Kashyap is playing with here in order to tell this story, at least at the outset, because there eventually you get into bank robbery and much bigger stakes are involved as you get further along into the story. But at least at the first half of the film, it's relatively simple. It's like it's all in this one small location. You think of things like Gangs of Wasseypur or Ugly, Raman Raghav 2.0. You think of those films and there's a lot of different locations, a lot of things going on. It's higher production value, whereas this is like relatively simple. It's all inside this person's home until things really escalate. I just thought that was really neat to take that approach to really put you in the home, in the perspective of this lady, and you see what she goes through. One of my favorite moments was when the thing fell into the pot. It's like, whatever that was, it's just like, that really sucks.
That's the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's the plaster from the ceiling, because
it's so
is
bad.
It like gonna actually start raining money at some point?
I didn't know if that was money or just the ceiling falling apart. Either way, it's like, that's gross. It's in the food.
Yeah, it is gross. But of course, that's where your mind goes to first. All of the shots you're talking about, the way they did it, it almost kind of feels like a horror film.
Yeah, it is kind of a horror film.
It is kind of a horror film. So I really like what they've done here with that. It's really cool.
It makes you think. And that's one of the things that Anurag Kashyap is good at doing, is making you think while telling you a compelling story with interesting angles and whatnot. That's one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of his. But anyway, the next thing I wanted to mention, which has nothing to do with the movie, but this movie made me think of, is, again, don't do anything. If like money comes your way, which for a lot of people, like sometimes you get like a good job or something like that, or somehow you luck out and by a stroke of luck you find money on the floor, right? Like one time I was in Texas and I found a $50 bill on the floor. My first instinct is not to spend it. My first instinct is to do nothing. Just hold on to it for a while. Let that percolate for a while and figure out what you want to do. I learned a long time ago, because there was this game, Achara asked me like, what's a book You're the one that asked me, right? What's a book that had a huge impact
That
on
was
my life? Or was from
in
the
the
live
Patreon podcast.
Okay,
Yes.
Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki had a huge impact on me on the way I look at money and what it really means. And one of the things I learned, an extension from that, is there's a game that Robert Kiyosaki made called Cash Flow. That's the name of the game, is Cash Flow. It's about getting out of the rat race. And you're handed a random card, like a lottery, of who you are in society. You could be a nurse, you could be an airline pilot, you could be a janitor, it could be anything. The thing I learned from that game is no matter how much you make, you need to set aside a certain amount of money in order to save up, in order to invest, in order to improve your life. What I learned is no matter where you are, no matter where I'm at, because I've gone through a lot of different things in my life. Jobs where I was making like close to nothing, like less than minimum wage, and jobs where I was making good money. I've done it all. I used to be a waiter, like I've done acting. I've seen all kinds of money in my life. And the thing I've learned is don't do shit. Like, save it as much as you can. Like, have a percentage and save it. Put it aside. Like, I totally get the feeling of wanting to spend it. In this case, it made sense because, not because of what you're saying, but because of the thing that she didn't know was coming, which is demonetization.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, thank God she at least spent some of it and got herself some nice clothes and stuff,
yes,
you know?
But this speaks to a bigger lesson in life, which is you gotta learn how to do nothing with your money sometimes and just put it aside.
Invest it in gold bars.
Invest it in something. But like, yeah, that would have been good actually if she just bought a bunch of gold bars and buried it and like just waited on that.
Wow.
So after demonetization, she'd be the only one thriving. But anyway, I mean, there was no way she could have known demonetization was. No one knew that was coming.
Exactly. That was the whole point.
Yeah, that was like a mental bomb that dropped. So very, very good trailer. I'm very excited to watch this. When is it coming out again?
June 5th, is it?
That is so far away.
No, it's really not. It's in a few weeks.
I want to watch it today.
Why Netflix? Just make it available right now. You know you can.
People wanted me to talk about this in a separate video, but like the Justice League Snyder Cut is coming in a year.
What?
I'm like,
a whole year?
I'm like, but lockdown is now. Like,
Come
it's
on,
right
HBO
now.
Max now.